All right, guys, got another 2017 Tundra here. Actually, a business partner of the guy with the other one I just did a couple months ago. Had a right front impact here into, I believe, the left rear of another car that was swerving the interstate. Gonna have to do a hood, a fender, everything you see here. I think the grill actually made it. Might be okay. Have to get it off and look. The upper tie bar is pushed over. Got a wide gap here in the fender, so I'm gonna have to pull the tie bar over to the left, well, to the right of the car, get this aligned, and then I'll take the tie bar out. Once I know this is straight, I'll use that as my guide to where to leave the tie bar. There's a piece inside here that drops down, creates this whole apron that's buckled in the front, so I'm gonna try to save that and replace the brace that welds in underneath it. I'm gonna start getting it torn down. I'll show you what I find. All right, I've got everything pulled and I'm starting to cut this section out right here. I just went ahead and cut off the tie bar that wraps around there and cut it off there. And I'm running the spot weld drill through these right here, all the way around to get this piece off and keep the piece underneath intact. This is the apron that I was telling you about. It goes all the way under here, all the way across, and all the way back. So I'm gonna be straightening this up, but I'm gonna have to replace this section right here underneath it where it's all buckled up, and so that'll stiffen it back up and get it in the right dimension. I can match the apron to that piece. So I'm gonna have to drill out all these under here after this, but I'm trying to get this piece off. This right here I'm gonna leave and use it to pull. I'm gonna get a pair of vice grips here and pull this with my either slide hammer or my pry bar till I get this gap over here set, and then I'll know all this has been pulled over where it needs to stay, and then I can cut this off. But since it's underneath this top piece, what I may end up having to do is replace the top piece, or at least cut it off and put this up under it. What I'm going to try to do though is to drill out these spot welds on, go all the way through these and just pull this piece out, and that way I can slip the new one in, and this holes that I put in it, if I drill all the way through, that'll give me a plug weld hole to put this back in. Because I'd rather not have to cut this piece off. It's got a few spot welds there, I think, in there, and I don't want to take all this stuff out either if I don't have to. So I'm going to try to leave this in if at all possible. I'm going to go through and finish getting this piece off. I'm just going through the spot welds with a putty knife right now. I'm trying to do minimal damage. And then I'm going to finish up drilling all these off. Once I get that out, then I need to straighten all this. Okay, I got a few more cut out here. I was able to use my C-clamp style drill here along the top. This is a 3-layer weld here, so I went through the first layer, broke it loose, and then I went a little deeper with just the handheld regular drill. A little bit deeper in this hole until I was just deep enough to break this seam right here. So I took I like using a putty knife because it's nice and thin, and you want one that's got the blade that runs all the way through the handle, so if you need to hammer on it, you can do that. So I broke this one loose here, and I drilled a little deeper, went between these 2 layers, and hammered it through. So now the only thing that's going to stay on the truck is this apron piece. So once I get the rest of these under here cut off, then I'm going to take this piece right here out. The problem is it runs back to this weld, so there's about 2 or 3 inches that it goes into the structure. So I don't believe I'll be able to get this piece in here with this piece still in the front. I've got this straightened out. I took my ram right here, my porta power, and put it on the frame under there, and just pushed this corner back out and rolled this. This was bent over, just rolled it back out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece, and I'm probably going to cut it through here and just get the piece out and leave all this attached until the new piece shows up. And if I can work it, if I can get it to go in like this and then pick up in the front, then I won't have to cut all this off. So I'm going to wait until I get the new piece, try to work it in there. But this piece here, could straighten it if I had to, but it's pretty cheap, and since I've got to do a bunch of welding anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. There's only 2 welds in it, and get this out of the way since I'm going to replace it anyway. And then if I need to cut this off, I'll cut it off, probably drill just through the front here. That way I can weld it from the outside, and I can save this flange back here, and that way I'll have more or better access to weld it back from the front. Same thing here. I've drilled it out on this side so that I can weld from out here and out here, and this flange in here will be solid when I get the new piece. I can punch holes for this right here to be able to weld from the outside. This piece will stay on the truck and weld straight to the new piece under here that'll be solid, won't have any holes in it. So I'll just go through and punch. Like right in here, I won't have to punch any holes. I can weld through this. On this right here, I want to be able to weld from this side, so I'll punch holes in the new piece so that when I weld from the outside, when you look inside under the hood, there won't be any welds I have to finish in here. It'll just be the back side of the MIG welds, which will be fairly flat, and I may not have to do anything to it but paint it. If I weld it on the inside, I'll have to finish those welds out, and it'll just be more work. When I can just do it under here and not have to finish the welds, and I can just paint over it. So I may have to take this piece off. I'm going to go ahead and take the fender bracket off now, but I'm going to wait on this until I get this brace, which this brace is actually going to come with the whole apron assembly. I can't get this separately, so I'll have to cut this piece off of the apron that I'm going to get, then try to get it in the truck. If I can't get it in, I'm going to take this piece off, but I'd like to leave it if I can. I'm going to go ahead and get the file belt under here. I could probably put a drill bit. It's a little bit deep, so it's going to be hard to drill in there. The drill's going to want to hit right there on the chuck, and I can't get square to the weld, so I'm going to take the file belt and grind this off, and that way I can just cut the panel here, get this section out, and then I'll work on getting the piece out from behind there after that. Okay, now I've got all this free. I can pull this piece out. And this one right here, I ended up having to, I tried to drill through the outer layer, break it free, and then there's a second layer, which is the piece itself, and then this is the third layer here, the apron. But as I got in there, the drill, I couldn't get the drill completely straight, and it started to tear on the backside, so I went through the backside, just drilled it through with a step drill to give me a nice round hole. So I'll put this new piece in here, and then I'll be able to weld this solid on the outside here, then I go to the inside and I weld it to the same piece. So it'll be completely seamless. Back here I was able to get the drill straight, and I didn't use the file belt on this because I want a nice round hole to weld through here. If I'd used the file belt on this, then the hole would have been either square or pretty mangled. So I tried to do this with the drill, but this one didn't work out as well, even though I can save that. It's completely out now. All I got left to do now is straighten up the apron, which is just some wrinkles in here. This is where the crumple zone is, so I just need to flatten this back out. And this is pretty thin gauge stuff, so it's not going to be a big deal as far as the structural rigidity. We're going to put a new piece in here. That's why I'm replacing this, so that I can straighten that and not have to cut it all the way back to the firewall. That would be a massive job that I don't really want to take on, so I'm just going to replace this piece, try to not have to take this off, and I'll straighten this up so that I can match it to the new piece. I'll use it as kind of a gauge to match where to set, where to leave that. I'm waiting on it to come in, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of prep all this to have it ready to put that other piece in, and then I'll work on that when it gets here. All right, I went ahead and removed this piece on the side. I was going to try to leave it there and slip the brace in behind it, but this will give me more room, and plus I remembered I'm going to have to put this tie bar extension over here that wraps from this spot all the way around to here. I'm going to have to put that in there, and I'll have more room with this out of the way to try to slip it in here and then hook it around this piece here, which is going to be a challenge in itself. But the way it's put together is this entire tie bar at the top just drops down onto the whole body structure and it's welded. So it's not really made to put this piece in like this, but I'm going to try it anyway. If I can get it slipped in, see if I can find the other piece. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to get the new piece and try to slip it back under here like this one came out. work it in at an angle like this, try to get it in like this, started, and hopefully it'll clear over here and I can push it in and back to get it around the apron. But there's no way to have done that with that piece in the way, so that's going to give me room for both this piece and that. This piece will have to go in first, because once I have the apron piece on and this, I can't get that in there. So I'm going to get this piece put in, get everything square. Once I have everything square, I'll put this piece in and clamp it in to weld it, but I'm going to get everything test fit first. I'll get the washer tank, make sure it's going to line up to the mounts, and then to its hole it actually mounts like this onto the tie bar. But I'll fit everything before I do any welding, make sure everything's going to line up and bolt in. And right now I'm waiting on parts, so I've got everything prepped and everything dollied out and straightened up. Straighten this piece up as much as I could without having anything to fit it to. So right now I'm waiting on the dealer to bring all the parts, and then I can get back on this one. All right, I just got my shipment of parts from the Toyota dealer. This is the entire apron that goes back to almost to the firewall. I had to buy this whole assembly just to get this brace up here at the top. Be a lot less work to just put that piece in. I've already got this part of it straightened out on the truck, so I just need to cut the spot welds here and get this bracket out, and then I can go put it in the truck and get everything square. I'm also going to take this tie bar and cut off just this edge here, or this corner of it. I'm going to try to get rid of maybe get rid of this and this on eBay or something. Try to get some of my money back on it. Fenders over here, hoods in this box, and this is the rest of all the little pieces. So I'm going to start with this. It's got to go in the truck first, and then the tie bar section over there will go over all this. So I'm going to start cutting spot welds and get this piece pre-fitted in the truck, make sure I got everything straight. On these spot welds, I'm going to be using my C-clamp drill so that I can control the depth of cut with this tool here and not have to worry about going through too far, since it's pretty thin. And I don't want to leave a hole all the way through, because I need to leave this metal back behind here solid so I can weld to the top. I've got holes in the truck up here, and I also want to leave a nice round hole in case somebody wants to buy this piece. They don't have a belt file hole in it or anything. It's not a nice round hole for a MIG weld. See if that'll pop loose. If not, I'll go a little bit deeper, and then I'll know how to set it for the rest of them. Okay, I've got the new hood temporarily installed just for fitment purposes. Went ahead and put in the chrome trim for the front, and also the main grill, just so I can check the gap between the two right in here with the hood shut. I've got all the clips out of this piece, so it's just bolted in 3 spots just to hold it in. I didn't want to have to try to pop the clips back out again, but I needed that in there for fitment. This is the part of the tie bar I'm replacing. I was able to slip it underneath here and then slide it over and down onto the apron. Now I've got the fender just temporarily installed also, just to fit the gap. So I had to adjust this tab in here a little bit backwards and down. Still got this mount to move a little bit more, and this one here I've got to pick up probably 1/2 inch and bring it forward. But I'm trying to get everything structurally finished so that I can have everything welded before I go start moving all the mounts, so none of this can move on me. There's a piece that goes under here. This will go in later, but I'm going to get everything square. This will go in on the end. And then there's a bracket that comes off the side that's welded here, and fender bolts into that. Everything looks pretty good right now. I'll drop the hood and show you. There's probably a 3/16 gap in the grill there, and it's a little closer here, but I don't have any screws in it. When I get the screw in this part of it here, it's going to come down just a little bit. And I can also adjust the grill mounts inside, and also this bumper can go up just a little bit, but I've got the fender just about perfect here. So there's really not much else left to do. I just got to get these panels back out. I'm going to scribe lines on this where it is now, and pull it back out and get the flanges ready to prep, or prep for ready to weld. And then I'll put it back in there and weld it in place. But this also has to be welded, so I'm going to prep all these flanges, put everything back in, do one more test fit, and then once I have it in the right place, I'm going to take the hood back off, check the square again with the tram gauge and make sure nothing is out of whack there, and then I'll weld it in. Okay, I got everything square and clamped and welded in. I've got it done along top here. I got several over here. And I've still got to put this piece along the side, this reinforcement piece, but I'm going to do that next after I get everything cleaned up down here. I went ahead and just wanted to get the structure done. So once I get all the welding done, I'll come back and I'll mask this off after I prep it all for paint, and spray some easy coat on it to match this olive or tan color under here, and then I'll spray all this black with just some black base coat with some hardener in it. All along in here is done. This is all hammer and dolly work in here. Flatten this back out. I had to file this square hole back out. It's actually rectangular, just so the clip will fit back in it. After you dolly the sheet metal, you shrink it. You stretch it, and then the hole shrinks. I had to do 2 from this side. There were 3 layers, so I slipped this piece in back here where it slips in between the apron and the outer reinforcement, and welded it from both sides. So I had a hole all the way through to begin with. Welded those 2, and the rest of them I did from the outside. So these will need minimal finish work here, not very much at all, and be ready to go. Next thing is going to be to get this reinforcement welded in at the bottom, but I'll have to rehang the fender to know where to leave the piece that welds on the back right here. Also got to move this mount back up. Got pushed back, so I need to lift this up and pull it forward. This one I got close, just eyeballed it, but it's got to go forward probably a 1/4 inch. And this one came on the new tie bar, so it's right where it needs to be. We used this hole for the headlight. I think that's a headlight mount. Actually, no, it's not. Headlight mounts in the fender and to right here. Can't remember what that's for. It might not even be used. It's not used over here. So anyway, we use this hole and that hole right there to square the front end. I wanted to use the hood hinge hole back there where the bolt is, but the fender's in the way and I couldn't get the tram back to that hole there. So when I come back, I'll be ready to put this piece on the side, and I'll show you everything fitted. All right, got everything ground down that's going to be visible. I'm going to be putting some body filler, or some glaze actually, on these welds that are going to be visible after we got them flattened out. I've got my area here that I hammered and dollied, just sanded with the DA, and I hand sanded the other spots where I couldn't get, like down in the pits and around some edges. Got a spot down here where I welded. Hit that with the file belt to smooth it out. Just gonna put a little bit of filler over this, and the welds in here and a few of the little low spots. Just do a wipe right through here, and then I'll come back with a sander and sand most of it off just to smooth this area a little bit better. And probably get a little bit of primer on it, unless I can finish it out real smooth with the DA. We'll see how it comes out. All right, everything's painted. Got most of the parts put back in under the hood here. I'm going to be taking the cavity wax now. I'm going to be running a wand, one of these long wands, up through this hole right here. I'm going to run the wand back here and just fog this entire area inside. Just going to spray it and pull the wand out as I spray, and let that dry for probably 15 or 20 minutes, and do a full 3 coats like that. So I'll have to flash it in between. So mainly in here where a kid could not paint the welds, and I'm going to spray some up this way I flooded this area with epoxy like I do with a syringe because I can't get cavity wax in here. There's no way to get, even from back here, there's no way for this cavity wax, even if I sprayed it up here, it won't go this direction because this piece goes all the way under. So I flooded from this way with epoxy. I also put the syringe needle up through here and tried to get that one. But I'll fog this as best I can back there. And also from this direction up through this hole here. Get those. That's the only really place over here that I welded, so I'm going to try to get that best I can. But over here I can get in this entire cavity. And I'll come back and I'll spray some over this seam. And I'll put some through the seam back here with just a regular extension nozzle, not a fog nozzle. And that should take care of it. I'm going to get that put in, and I can do some other things while I wait between coats. All right, I'm ready to do this rail. The can comes with just a regular spray nozzle on it, and inside the wand kit you've got 2 lengths of tubes that do a 360 spray and 1 tube that's just basically an extension nozzle that's open on the end. I'm going to use this medium length tube. It should be plenty to get all the way back there. And then I'll do this, and then I'll take the short nozzle right here, and I'll spray in here where I need to get in this seam, and then I'll put the long tube back on to do the second coat, and I'll just go back and forth between coats. That way I can do them all at once, not have to wait to do all these at once, then wait and do the other one. But I'm gonna pull this off and put the extension tube on. I've got the end of this taped where I know the end of it's about to come out through the hole when I pull it back. Okay, that just fogged the inside of the rail. I'll try to give you a shot of that if I can get in there. See. You can see the fog that it's created. I've got a few holes taped off in here where it won't go through and get on any of this, but you can see it in there. Try to get the phone in there. So I'm going to do a good 3 coats to make sure that I've got coverage. I'm actually going to come back here and spray some. I need to get into this seam right here, and this stuff will actually wick in. But I'm just going to fog this right here with the regular nozzle just to put a little puddle so it can get in this flange here. And I'll come underneath, spray some that way too. And you can see how it's coming out now. But once I get this all in here, I can come in here and wipe the excess off. I don't have to worry really about what it looks like. I just want to make sure I get it protected. And I need some to go down between this flange here. But I'll get that when I spray it directly on this spot here. We'll go ahead and get it all on there, and I'll try to give you another shot when it's fully coated in here. All right, cavity wax is done. I've been repairing wiring harnesses while I've been waiting between coats. Headlight socket was broken and one of the wires was cut, so I put a new connector on it. And also fog lights, the wiring was cut right here. So I spliced those back together and put a new, this is actually a Honda retainer, but it fits that hole and it's almost identical. So the only difference is it's blue and not black, but I try to keep a few of those all the time just for times like these. So after I did the 3 coats, that's got the entire rail coated. It'll continue to wick around in all the seams. Did the same thing over here, just let it run all between the flanges and then just drip out onto this paper. And once I was done with those 3 coats, I came in here and wiped all that excess off that was running everywhere. And then I just took the actual spray nozzle on the can that just kind of sprays like a spray paint can, and just sprayed over the entire area just to leave a tacky film over it. And I've got a little bit on the front here where things aren't visible. Sprayed a little bit in here, just coated all this just to leave a film over all of it. There's a little bit in there. I went up through that hole there and also this direction. And I've wiped up everything that I've let run through. I'll go back and double check, make sure we got it all out. But I got to wrap this up now, and I'm going to test all the lights, make sure everything's working, and then I'll move on to getting the hood and the fender sprayed. I just applied the rocker guard. I had it back masked here with a piece of paper and folded back. I actually sprayed it that direction to keep from getting too much built up under the paper. And this is where the factory rocker guard stops. And I wet it out to try to get it slick so that it could be really close to what the original was. And once it fully dries, I'm going to leave it overnight. I'll come back and I'm going to wet sand the surface, or maybe even just take a Scotch-Brite to it, depending on what it looks like. And just smooth this out just a little bit. And if this texture is a little bit rougher, I'll sand it down just enough to make it match. But I taped off the back edges. I don't want it inside the jam. And I got a little bit here around the edge, so I'll just soften that down a little bit too. That'll protect that edge just enough with the fender liner over the rest of it. And I pulled the tape back here just enough to get that. And it's only one light coat and then one heavy coat. So I'm going to give that till tomorrow, see what it looks like. And while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and sand the rest of this. I've got some of the edges done already. And also sand the rest of the hood. I've got to do the outside, underside's sealed and done. I just seam sealed the flange, and there were 3 little tiny dings in it that I had to fix. 2 over there and then 1 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and DA all this. Then I'll move over here. That'll give this a little longer to dry before I generate any dust around it. All right, this is the sealer. All right, onto the fender. I've got one little bumper filler over here I need to seal. I need to add some flex additive to what I have left, but I really don't have any left, so I'm going to have to mix a little bit more. Coat of base.
Alright, everything's gonna get one more coat, we'll be done.
Here it is the next morning. I didn't get time to film the clear. Turned out really nice. Got a little bit of dust in it, of course, but I'll take care of that. Probably tomorrow. I'm going to give it a couple days to harden up. Just to make sure when I buff this black, I don't put any more swirl in it than necessary with it being soft. If it wasn't for the dust, I wouldn't have to touch it. Just about came out perfect. Fender too. And here's the chip guard. It's about what it looks like on the truck. I'm sure it's not a perfect match, but I'll never be able to match it unless I paint the whole side of the truck with it at once. But it's close enough since it's down at the bottom. And here's the bumper filler. It came out pretty clean. I had it clamped like this, the way it'll be on the truck, so anything that fell in it would pretty much just be right here at the bottom. But it's pretty clean. I'll get it on the truck so the truck can hold it for me, and I'll buff out what little bit there is in it. I've got everything, it's out there now. I got everything done on it. Just need to get the fender and all mounted, but I need to do the A-pillar on it. Do the paint on the A-pillar before I put the fender on there. I don't want to have to worry about taping on the fender, so I'm going to do that first and then I'll get it rebuilt. A quick look before it leaves. He's on his way now. Nice blend on the A-pillar. I stopped it right here. Even I can't even find where it was. See you next time.